Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to the Brewing Business Show. This is a space dedicated to the craft beer industry and entrepreneurs who wants to learn more about mindset, health, wealth, business, and of course, beer. I'm your host, Pedro Meneses, and before we start, I just want to make sure you buckle up, crack open a cold one, and get ready to hear some life-changing information. Cheers! So welcome back everybody to episode 39 of the Brewing Business Show. If this is your first time, be sure to check out the previous episodes and don't forget to leave me that review on iTunes so you can help more people to find the show. And today, guys, I have the honor to be joined by someone who operates at a very high level in every area of his life and truly represent what winning looks like. He's one of the most motivated, driven, relentless, and committed men I know. His competitive spirit and discipline have led him to become a very successful entrepreneur, leader, and husband. And today, he's here to share the hard work behind his success and what he has overcome to align his life to his purpose on this planet. So welcome to the show, Burton. It's a pleasure to have you here, man.
Thank you so much. You guys always make me sound way cooler than I am, so I really appreciate that very much.
I mean, dude, you're a great inspiration, you know, like I really admire everything you do. And one of the things that I really like about you, how relentless you are with the things that you want to accomplish, you know, because that's something that always inspired me to see in other people, you know, how you just put your eyes in one goal and you don't stop until you make it happen. And this is the reason why, if you guys didn't notice, I didn't say that he's going to share with us today the secret behind his success, because there's no fucking secret, you know, there's hard work. There's hard work and dedication. And this is the reason why I wanted to bring you to the show so you can share all this with our audience, man, because I think especially during 2020, we're in the middle of that transition to 2021. Everybody's scared. Everybody's kind of scared to like make goals and and figure out what's going to happen next year. But why don't go ahead and introduce yourself, man. Tell us a little about your story, where you're coming from, because I know that you have gone through a lot of stuff that most people gone through life. And now you're here, very successful man. So tell us about your story, brother.
Man, so I think the biggest thing is, my name is obviously Burton Hughes. I'm 38 years old. I live here in Dallas, Texas. And, you know, I'm not here to try to tell you that my story is any more difficult or whatever it may be than anyone else's, because we all have gone through it. I think the biggest thing for me is, like you said, relentless. That really vibrates with me, because I think that that's my competitive edge, man. I think it's being relentless. And then when I laser focus on something, like it's like a laser beam. I'm so fixated on it. You know, people say like it's maniacal. My dad, when I was younger, he's like, you know, you're, I forget exactly the word he used, but he was like, you're insatiable. And that's such a weird word. And honestly, I was getting yelled at for some shit that I can't even remember. But he was like, you're insatiable. Nothing's ever good enough, you know, but. And I'm like 11 years old, you know, and I'm like trying to compartmentalize that. He was trying to yell at me and me being in trouble for something, but like, that's not a bad thing. You know, I think as kids, you know, you're born relentless, taught to relent. And, you know, Tim Grover said that in his book, Relentless, of all things. And of all the books that I've read, you know, I read 56 books last year. You know, and this year I'm damn near close to that again. And I'll go back and I listen and read to the books over and over again. But certain messages, you know, vibrate with you. I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I'm the hardest working guy. I'll tell you that. And I see things and I complete tasks. I think that's the biggest thing, is I don't just like go in and then like I'm all over the place. You know, I think a lot of people with entrepreneurs, and we're type A personality, and you hear all this stuff and you're scatterbrained. No. That's how some people, you know, think you are. Yeah, I got a lot of balls in the air, but the thing is with me is I got all the balls there, but I got them like aimed in the right direction. And I think that's when I wrote the book this year, you know, Alignment. Everyone's like, man, how do you do so much? And I'm over here like, how can I do more? What are you talking about? I wake up every morning feeling like I'm behind, you know what I'm saying? So who am I to, you know, to sit here and, you know, it's just funny how the mind works, man. But the biggest thing for me is that I've been highly successful in areas. And a lot of it was just like, let's see what I can do. And a lot of it is literally like, let's see what happens, right? But once I get fixated on something, man, I'm like a dog on a bone, man. I finish, I commit, I finish, and I show up every day. That's the difference. And if anything I can pass along to you with COVID and all the crap that's going on, is stick to your guns and follow through on what you say you're going to do. And make that personal commitment of excellence to yourself. And I promise you, that's the difference. That's the key. And people will resonate. They'll really vibrate with that, because they're going to be able to count on you. You're going to follow through with your word, and then people are going to know they can depend and trust you.
Wow.
In a
That's so
nutshell.
powerful, man. And you know what you were saying, right? When you fix your mind into something, you know, I remember you were talking in some other podcast about how when you were a kid, you know, you were not able to focus on certain things in school, you know,
Yeah.
and then eventually there was other things that you were able to focus, and then, but your teachers were trying to like make you feel bad because you couldn't accomplish certain things. And that resonated with me because I was the same thing when I was in school. You know, I had to like just stop being myself because they were trying to make me things that I didn't want to do. So how do to help you to discover that you were deciding to do some specific things in your life?
You know, so I went back, and it was last year. My mom was like, "Hey, I've got, some stuff for you. You should put it in like a binder." And they were all like, "Man, these old report cards from like kindergarten, first, second, third grade." And the thing is when you're that young, you don't really you're like, "Oh, I got in trouble in school," but a lot of it's not. You're not in trouble. It just has like your progress report, and the biggest thing you saw was like, talks too much, doesn't sit still, all this kind of stuff. But for me, man, I had a lot of questions. I was getting thrown out of Sunday school because I had questions about the Bible, because I was like, man, if it's so cold and then it's hot, like I just asked questions, like, because there was some inconsistency I legitimately wanted to know. And then like you're defiant towards authority and like sit down, be quiet, and like that's just not me, man. Like there's how people and there's why people. You were just talking about like when you're a kid and not being able to focus. I think now they know how to coach kids, because now they know like, if you're an auditory learner, like you're a visual. Me, I'm like a combination of both. But for me, how my mind works is I need to know why I'm doing something. Some people need to know, like, show me how to do it. I could care less on how. I'll figure out how to do it. Show me why, so I can get my mind wrapped around like why. I don't think I would have been a good soldier because they don't tell you why. They just tell you to do it and shut up. And like me, I'm like, that don't work too well with me. But show me why I need to do something. I'll figure out how to do it. And then typically when I do that, I'll figure out a way to do it quicker and better and more efficient, because that's what I do. Right. So I think that's the biggest thing for me is I need to know why I'm doing something. And as a kid, it's do as I say, not as I do what I tell you. I'm right. Like, that never really sat well with me, because I learned pretty quickly that I would watch adults and very rarely would they do what they say. And I would ask them questions on it, and then I would get in trouble. So,
and the problem is that most people or most adults live like that the rest of their lives. I mean, man, I was the same, like I was such a bad student when I was in school, but once I moved to college, I became one of the best students, because I hated people telling me what the fuck to do. It's like, don't tell me what to do. I suck at this. I was the worst student, but I got to a point in life that I realized that I was not born to follow orders like that. I was born to do something on my own, to discover some purpose in my life and go and pursue that for myself, But unfortunately, all of us, we have that, but most people just stuck to that mentality of like, oh, we need to wait to get instructions. Like everybody else right now in COVID, waiting for the government to tell them if they can open their business or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm the guy that would be like, hey, I'm going to stay open and take me to jail. I mean, I would, right? Luckily, this year we were considered essential. So, by the grace of God, with construction and the stuff that we're doing, we're considered essential. But, that would be a perfect example of like me not being, compliant. So,
yeah. Absolutely, man.
It's so funny, man. I forget what it was, but you were talking about how you were made to feel, some type of way, man, because I feel for you. Because it's funny when I talk to people like you, it makes me feel more normal. Because a lot of times, we're always told like, it's not that we're defiant towards it. We're not even like bad people. You're wired is you need to do your own thing. And that needed to be fostered. And unfortunately, with our age, we were caught like in that in between where they were like, look, y'all just need to like do what you're told. And then now where they're like, oh, well, like we're going to foster Johnny because he's his own little thing. So like now they kind of kid glove people, right? I think almost too much. But, we were caught in between, man. But like once you found what it is that you do, you were soaring. And what I tell people all the time is you need to find the right vehicle. And I don't necessarily mean like car or plane. You just need to find the right vehicle. And then once you find your lane and what your God-given talent is, that's when things like really take off. And I think a lot of times, like you said, man, people get stuck and they make excuses and they get kicked down and then they stay there. For me, that's just not acceptable. And I think that was something that like an innate characteristic that God gave me, is that like relentless. Like when someone tells me I can't, like I'm so petty that I'm like, I'll kill myself to prove you wrong. And that type of mindset is has been good and bad, but more good, because a lot of the stuff people are like, oh, you can't get into fitness, you don't have the bone structure for it. I'm a pro card holder now, and I'm on covers of all these books because I'm so petty that someone told me that I didn't have the bone structure for it. I'm like this. I'm gonna do it. And that literally every day that I wanted to quit and I didn't want to eat my diet food, I thought about my boss when he told me I didn't have, you know, the bone structure for it. So like that pettiness in me was like fire that every day burned in me, and it allowed me to succeed in like way far even beyond anything that I thought. You know, I just stayed on it.
No, absolutely, man. I totally agree with you on that, you know. And you know, for me to get to that point where I was like, okay, I need to start doing shit for my own. You know, I had to literally quit everything I had. You know, I always, a lot of people know about this. I literally just pack all my shit. I'm from Guatemala, right? I pack all my shit, one-way ticket, and never look back, man. And it's been 7 years since then. And I know the same happened for you, but you've been in this game longer than that I've been. And I know that not always been sunshines and rainbows for you, because you know, a lot of people say, oh yeah, he's been in magazine covers, he drives a Lambo, now you have a Ferrari, there's a fucking sweetest car ever, you know. But not everything was like that from the very, very beginning. So tell us, how was that process when you started discovering that your vehicle that put you towards the right direction to become so successful, man? Because you came from like a very humble beginning, and how everything shaped you to find that vehicle in your life.
So let me just take it back real quick. I grew up in a trailer park. My parents were divorced before I was 1. And unfortunately, most people, that's common. You know, that's common. My mom's been married 11 times. I think maybe 11 or 12 times. Wow. You know, I think that my mom was I'm going to say was, like she's still with us, but she made a lot of, you know, wrong decisions. I think she was one that just was kind of all over the place. And my dad, he was military, probably came home, you know, they didn't treat him very well after Vietnam. So I think my dad came home and we just bound up and angry, you know, and then, you know, a few years later, then I'm born. Right. So the biggest thing for me is I grew up in a trailer park, and it is what it is. I didn't know any differently. I wasn't feeling sorry for myself. I certainly didn't come from a life of privilege. There's no question. But for me, whatever it was, at a young age, I'm like, I got to make money, man. Cause I knew I didn't love where I was at. I didn't really understand how it worked. I think my parents did a really good job of, when my dad lost his job and we would go to the food pantry and get food, they'd make it a game. And if we got our electricity or our water cut off, we'd be like, oh, we're camping. And we would make like a fort in the living room. Like, I think that's really cool that parents are able to do that in such a humiliating, things like that happen. Right. And I legitimately went to so like my mornings, we would get up super early. My mom would take me to the babysitter, and then I would wait for the school bus to pick me up from the babysitter, and I would come home, go to the babysitter, and my mom would pick me up from work. That's how it was. And, you know, my babysitter, like legit were drug users. Like I know what crack smells like. In the morning, they would smoke crack in the kitchen. And the thing is like, I just oblivious, man. I was a happy kid. I didn't know any differently. Like I said, it did not come from privilege. But I knew that, like, I didn't like where I was, and I knew that there was something more. And my brother and I had this picture of a Lamborghini Countach. It was like the 1989. It's the one from the Wolf of Wall Street. I think everybody at this point, even if you're not a car person, you know. I knew at that young age, like, that's what I want. That's a life for me. How I got there, I don't know. I literally started going door to door. I cut up magazines. I made these collages, and I went door to door. I was like 6 years old. I was trying to sell these motocross collages. I don't think I made any money, but I think my neighbors in the trailer park were like, man, this kid's got a little hustle to him. I made a couple bucks, whatever. But I was always trying, but I wasn't like the lemonade stand kid. I wasn't that. I was always like, there's got to be something better, you know? So I tried to do it my way. And I started caddying in high school. You know, I started figuring out ways to make time. And I think that's one of the biggest things with Align Your Empire, the book that I wrote this year, is that I found time, man. I think time's a new currency. So what did I do? I started caddying at this country club in Columbus, Ohio, man. Listen, this was like, have you ever seen the movie Caddyshack? There's it's called Bushwood, man. Like, have you ever seen the movie Caddyshack? Bushwood, like, Cider Country Club was like literally like Bushwoods, where Jack Nicholson was going to play golf. These people were worth like $50 million on this kind of stuff. Like, I didn't even really know what a Lexus was, but they're like, Burton, you're going to sit in this bag room and you're going to literally sit in here. And then when a car pulls up, you're like, literally, this is what they're telling me. You're going to take the golf bag out of the trunk, You're going to sit on the ground. You're going to close it. And then the guy's going to swoop in with the golf cart and take it. I was like, that's all I got to do. I can't fuck that up. They're like, no, you can't fuck that up. I'm like, I'm 15 years old, bro. Like, I literally have no idea what I'm doing. They're just like, sit here, do this, do that. I'm like, get it, got it, good. Well, anyway, I'm sitting there, and they got this Rob Report magazine. If you don't know what the Rob Report magazine is, it's like the magazine for like the rich people. Literally, I had no idea what a Lexus was. For me to sit down in front of this thing is like, buy this jet, buy this yacht, you know, let's go to Morocco, dude. I couldn't even tell you where that was on a freaking map. But like, I'm reading the magazine, like, people live like this, right? I'm like, damn, like, that's what I want. How do I get there? I thought drug dealers and like kingpins and like movie stars, like I thought that was it. But then I'm seeing these like kind of normal-ish people day in and day out rolling in with these Rolls Royces and this Bentley. And I'm like, that's what I want. What did I need to do? So when I was caddying, I was asking them questions. What do you do? They're like, oh, I'm in pharmaceutical sales. Like, oh, what do you do? Oh, man, I'm a doctor, this and that. The funny thing is it wasn't the doctors that were making all the money. It was the salespeople.
Right.
There were pharmaceutical sales. There were car sales. I was kind of like, you know, real estate, whatever. I'm like, okay, sales. Okay, I never really envisioned myself going to school and 4-year degree and getting a master's and PhD. That wasn't me. But sales was like innately me because I talked to people and I vibe with people. Like, it just made sense. So when I turned 21, I was like trying to find out. I went and shot darts one night. Next thing you know, I'm selling new homes. New home sales. I was an assistant. I sold like 3 houses. I remember there was a bounty on a house. They're like, there's an extra $1,000 if you sell this house this weekend. I was an assistant. I was selling houses as an assistant. They broke me off $1,000 in cash. I paid all my credit cards off because I was literally sweating a $500 Visa credit card bill. But the thing was, man, once I got into sales, got into real estate, that was my vehicle. But outside of that, I was not a traditional person. I grew up in a trailer park. You know, I had a brother that dealt drugs out of the house when there was a lot of turmoil, a lot of violence. I kind of skipped the day, but my brother was killed in a drug deal when I was 12 years old. So I knew that wasn't the path that I wanted to go down. So that kind of scared me to where I always try to do the right thing. So yes, I want to make money, but I always stayed on the legit side. And I think that's where God kind of steered me, because when you're young and you're impressionable, I saw my brother making the money. I was very attracted to it. And I'm like, well, I could do it too. Like, if he's doing it, I'm all in. You know, my brother's good enough for my brother, good enough for me. Until I come home on a Friday afternoon and they tell me there's been an accident. It was no accident. My brother was killed in a drug deal in South, shot in the head, point blank. There's no other way to sugarcoat it. So for me, that a ramble, but that's really ultimately what it was, is I needed to find my vehicle, but I knew what I did not want and I knew what I wanted. I just needed to find out how to get there. So.
Wow. And just be relentless, you know, and not stop until you find that vehicle. It can take you a couple months, can take you a year, can take you decades, you know, but you just have to keep going. That's just how things work.
And the thing is, like, do what you love, find your passion, like, yes and no, you know, and I don't want to like rain on anyone's, you know, parade, but like, sometimes you have to do what you got to do to get where you want to be. And that's not always going to be like your passion. You know, you don't have to love what you do. You just got to love the process. So look, if you're an artist and a great job, and if you can find a way to make it, like, great. But if you're not selling your art, and that's not going to be, look, I'm calling balls and strikes today. Yeah. It's not always what you want to love. Do I love roofing? I like it. Do I love it? Is it like my passion? Do I eat, sleep, and drink like selling roofs? Like, no, I'm good at it. I like it. It's not my passion. It's not what I love, but it allows me to do what I want to do. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the biggest thing that we need to resonate with people, is you don't always have to love what you do. You got to love the process, and you really got to like the work. So just when you're sitting around and you're trying to figure out like what it is, it might not be what you love, but you got to love the process. So just think about that, because I think a lot of people out there right now are quitting their job because they don't like what they do. But if that's what pays the bills, maybe that's what you got to do right now. And then you got to find a way to combine it with something else. Yeah. And that's what I did with caddying, is I was able to find out a way to make money in the mornings. And then when my friends would sleep in all day, I still went to the pool the rest of the afternoon. So I would make anywhere from $80 to $150 before noon. And then I still got to go to the pool all day. So that's what I was learning at a young age, is how to have both. It's not or, brother, it's and. You can have both. You just have to maneuver and find out a way to make it happen. So.
Yeah, and organize yourself. But that's what you're saying is so true, man. And I learned that lesson a couple of years ago, because when I moved here, I got to a point that I didn't have any other option but just to stay in the job that I have at that moment,
Yeah.
because I couldn't start a business. I got to a point where I lost all my legal rights,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had to just suck it up and stay there until I couldn't fix the situation and start moving to what really I wanted to do. But
Yeah.
being in there in that small business helped me to learn a lot about sales and taught me how to do a lot of stuff here in the US. So I think that's I totally agree with you. I have done stuff like that. I mean, I have delivered groceries. I have all that kind of shit.
You got to do what you got to do, and you can't have pride, because the thing is if you're just trying to make it work, sometimes you got to put your pride aside. Man, I was a janitor for a while. I was cleaning toilets, but guess what? What you do is not who you are. So when I was cleaning toilets and I was working, doing the janitor at night, it was what I had to do at that time. It's not who I was. It was what I did. You know what I'm saying? So you got to set your pride aside like you did, and you just bit the bullet and you bide your time and you learn and you try to find the good with the bad or whatever it may be. You know what I mean? So I think that's
totally.
what you did, and I think that shows how you're resourceful and how you're able to compartmentalize and make it work, and know that you got to have your mind was on something else. That's how you get through. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You had your mindset on something, or you didn't know exactly what it was, but you knew that what you had to do right now is because down the road there was something better for you. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And you know what the biggest lesson in here, man, is that a lot of people is like, yeah, but I don't know if I can be successful doing something what I need to do right now. But that's not true, because you guys are hearing from someone who have built a 7-figure empire selling roof door to door, something that is a technique that is pretty much disappearing. So if he have been able to create that empire, door knocking and selling roofs, there's nothing else in this world that can stop you too. It's just your fucking excuses that are not allowing you to be successful. So that's,
it's funny you say that, man, because people say like, oh, you do the door to door thing and your roofing sales. Like, I think people are chasing the title, man. Like, I kind of like that what we do is blue collar. It's kind of sneaky because, I'm not the normal. I know I'm not the average. Like, your average roofing guy does not do the numbers that I do, but I'm not an average dude. I'm the 1% that will outwork and grind, because I'm never satisfied. I will tell you, like, my first month, I had no idea what I was doing. My first month, there was not a storm. I literally came out here on a 3-day whim. My boy Nick was like, hey, man, come out here and see what's going on. He's like, I don't want you to talk for 3 days. I literally just want you to watch what I do. And if it's something you think you can do, then we'll roll. And I knew Nick for, damn near 10 years. And he said, come out here and see what's going on. No problem. I came out for 3 days. I saw the good, bad, the ugly. And I knew that I could do it too. My first month, I made 40 grand. That was more money than I've ever made in any of the real estate, anything that I've ever done in 1 month. And that was before I knew what I was doing. I was just selling on energy. There was no storm. I just was relentless with knocking doors. My first month, I made 40. I said, oh my God, imagine what I can do when I get good. You know what I'm saying? Imagine what I can do when I get good. And then Nick was like, man, you had a good month, man, but like, you really fucked up here, here, and here. So if we fix this and this and this, I think next month you can make 50 or 60,000. What are you thinking? I'm like, man, I'm really feeling bad about myself. But like, think about that right now. I made 40 grand my first month. And I'm like, man, I left a lot of money on the table. I really fucked up here and here. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about that. Most people would be like, oh my God, I made it. Oh my God, I'm rich. No, I was like, I need to improve here, here, and here. And I worked on it. I was relentless. So I stayed on it. I bettered my craft. And you know what? My numbers did go up. But the thing is I never take my foot off the gas. For most people, once your basic needs are met, once your food is handled, you got your roof and you got your food and all this kind of stuff. Like, people get comfortable when they take their foot off the gas. You can't do that. And I see people do it all the time. For me, the fear of failure, I grew up in a trailer park. I do not want to go back. So you call it fear of failure, imposter syndrome. I don't care. There's, there's a shrink in here listening to us talking. They're like, this guy's a textbook, like, some type of ism. I don't care what it is. That is the double-edged sword. For me, it's what keeps me good. It keeps me hungry. But the fear of failure and the fear of backsliding, look, as long as it doesn't go to like a depressive and like tear you down, it galvanizes you. It makes you better. So even when I have my best month, I'm like, where could I have done better? Like, celebrate the wins, but then focus on where you can get better, because you can always get better, man. Like, always. And that's the biggest thing, is I'm always trying to find what could I have done better? What service could I do? And it's not about making money. It's like, how many more people can I get in front of? I don't feel like knocking right. Well, guess what happens in the winter? You know, I don't want my crews to not be able to have works. You know, the thing is, if I take my foot off the gas, then there's less jobs that are going to be done for our crews. So in the wintertime, people go, oh man, like it's down. Like, you going to go on vacation? No, I'm not going on vacation. No, I'll do 2 or 3 days and I'll get back in, because when I stay on it, it guarantees that my crews that depend on us, they're not going to have to worry about putting shoes on their kids, because I'm staying on it. In the winter, I double down so that I ensure that our crews do not have to get laid off and their hours don't have to get cut. I take personal responsibility for that. I feel like I've got my own ecosystem, and what I do takes care of 100 other people. So I take it very personal, and it's much more, but you know, like you say, the Ferrari, stuff like that. Yeah, that's cool. But for me, it's making sure that what I do directly affects other people. And I started thinking about how can I serve more people, which then employs more people. You start thinking about things like that, the money comes, brother.
Dude, that's freaking awesome, man. And I hope somebody's taking notes right now, because, you know, that's pretty much what's worth in life. That's what's worth in life. You know, this is pretty much what you do, you know, like you say, like, yeah, you have this, you have the cars and all that stuff. It just like the shiny shit that you don't care about, you know, just care about how you can improve yourself. And when you live your life with that mentality, it's kind of like the blissful dissatisfaction that Ed Milet talks about, right? You know,
that's
it's like,
yeah, that's exactly right.
It's like you celebrate these wins. Oh yeah, fucking make 7 figures this year. Okay, let's go back to work, you know, because there's always a new level. And it's funny that you said that, because I mean, I love when this happens, man, because last night I was in a call through this new social media app, Clubhouse. Ryan was talking there with some other people, and they were sharing some great information. But one of the things that really impacted me is that Kevin Nation, who is a great marketer, right? High ticket sales expert. Somebody else was talking. He was like, guys, I'm just learning so much right now. And that just clicked on me immediately. Like this is a guy that he doesn't need anything else in life, right? But he's still here learning with us when he's supposed to be here teaching us, right? He's so humble enough to understand that there's more to learn in this life. There's another level to go, which I think this will help me right now to switch gears a little bit and start talking about the alignment, because you talk about this a lot, and this is going to be your book too, right? Because it's nice to be successful. It's nice to work your ass off and achieve all these goals and all that stuff. But there's more to this. There's things that you need to align in your life in order to like have harmony in your life in every single area of your life. So talk to us about these 6 alignments, what you call aligning your empire.
Yeah. So I think the reason I wrote this book this year is you hear people talking about alignment. And I remember when I first got into fitness, like I started these guys and they're in incredible shape and they're on covers of all these, but they're like broke, or their relationships were like really bad. Or you have these really rich old guys, like the rich old guy driving the Ferrari, right? But he's like borderline about to have a heart attack and he's miserable and he has no one to go home to. So he's like a Scrooge, right? And I started like little cues along the way. And I started thinking, okay, that's how you don't want to do that. And then I had some big success when I was younger, but I was miserable. I was depressed. So I want to say I learned everything kind of the hard way, but everything you could do wrong, brother, I've done it wrong. You know, I kind of failed forward, man. I mean, it's so true, because I didn't have the positive influences, man. Like, you know, like you're talking about Ryan, like I had to join some of these mastermind groups. It's funny because, man, I feel like an alien, because I can't bounce ideas off of. Once you start doing a little bit better than the people around you, you stop getting invited to the cookout. Your family don't even know how to talk to you, because it's like you're an alien. You become really weird. And then if you're having like a down moment, you want to bounce ideas off it. Those are not the people that bounce ideas off of, because they're going to tell you, like, hey, you need to slow down, man. You need to like stop and smell the roses. Like, nah, fuck that. That's not the right people. So I started realizing very quickly that I needed to make the alignments in my life that I needed to be, you know, reaching up constantly. So that's when I started thinking about alignments. And then it's kind of been a slow process. And over this year, I really leaned hard into my schedule, because I've got a very systematic way that I approach my day and everything. And there's fitness, and I'll go into it real quickly. But I was driving in my car and a freaking like lightning bolt hit me, and I said, dude, why don't you put this on paper, because I think there might be some value here. And so instead of me being like, oh, I'm going to make all this money from writing this book, I don't care if I make $1, but if I can help people, because people started asking me like, how are you? They're like, man, like that's really good. I never even thought about writing a book. I'm talking about, like, I'm the guy that, like, in school that, like, copied on everyone else's paper because I just couldn't get my shit right. So to even think that I was writing a book is absolutely crazy, right? So I started thinking about it. What's the number one thing you need to work on? What's the number one thing that we talk about all the time? Mindset. I don't care how good a shape you're in, what type of money you make. Your mindset is shit. You're going to self-destruct. You're not going to be able to push forward. When things get tough, you're going to fold. Mindset is the basis of all things. Galvanize your mind. Like you said with Kevin Nation, what did he say? He was learning. He was probably the smartest dude in the room, but guess what?
Yeah.
He was learning. He was there to learn. So you never stop learning. You heard me. I'm listening to podcasts. We're on a podcast, right?
Yeah.
So you're listening to books. You're listening to motivational tapes. And you know, like, yeah, man, I've heard all that stuff before. It's all the same shit. You know what? Guess what? Today you might hear it differently. You can listen to the same thing over and over again, but you know, it might be
true.
A different day. You receive that message, man, because maybe your mindset's different, or maybe you're searching, but your reticular activator is looking for something. So whatever it may be. So I said, okay, mindset's got to be absolute 100. Yeah. Then I start focusing on faith. See, the thing is, if you don't have faith, I don't care if you're thinking spiritual or whatever, if you don't think that there is something out there guiding us, you are, listen, too many times things work out in my favor that I feel like God had his hand on it. I'm not trying to get, super biblical. We go to church together sometimes. So the thing is you know what I'm saying? You got to have faith. Whatever your faith is, it is not the point, but you have to have faith that things are going to work in your favor, right? Next thing, family. Family does not necessarily have to be blood, brother. It has to be who's your family of choice. So for me, like I said, I'm an alien. So some of my family, we don't have the greatest relationships. So I had to seek the relationships and created my family of choice. I would have not known what that was 2 years ago because I was sitting there thinking, man, like, I don't have anyone. No, you do. Your family can be of blood and it can be of choice. Family is crucial. What's the next one? Fitness. Not necessarily just with fitness with your body, your fitness with your mind and your body. If you are trying to start a business and you're starting to try to level up and all that, how can you do that if your vessel, like people talk about, we're talking about Ferraris. If your Ferrari ain't tuned up, like how can you move quickly? You know what I'm saying? So like for me, people judge you by your, judge the book by its. If you're healthy and your mindset is right and you're physically healthy, you're going to be able to move quick. You're going to be able to outwork longer. You're going to be able to stay in the fight longer. Like me, knocking doors when it's 105 degrees outside. Like if I was 60 pounds overweight, I probably wouldn't be able to get up and down the ladder as quick as I do. So you just think about that type of stuff. So your fitness is huge. But also my main goal down the road is, I told Dr. Chalmers, I said, look, man, like, I want to be able to walk my daughters down the aisle in 20 years. So like, how can I make sure that I'm as healthy as where I'm at? So we did the part scan, we did the blood, all that stuff, right? And then you got to work on your finances. You got to make sure that you're making the money. So if you got a family and you're bouncing from job to job and you're this and that, like, how are your finances? No, they're probably terrible, but you got to get your arms wrapped around that. And you can't save, you can't invest if you don't have your money, you got your money right. So there's all these things. And then the last one is network. Network is who you with, who you networking with. If you don't have a network, then something's wrong. I don't mean networking with the bar with your friends, man. I'm talking about who can you align with that can help you build your business and help spread and, organically get you out there. So my thing is with this book is trying to get all those pointed in the right direction and harmoniously, they all work together. I think too many people, listen, man, like, people are always like, you just got to find balance. Like, no, there's no balance in life. I'm not trying to, be too, like, there's no balance. There's no, like, I'm going to take time from my family and invest it into my business. Because what's going to happen? You're not going to have a family.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, if you're trying to build a business, you're not going to be able to hang out with your friends as much. So the thing is, it's not about trying to find balance. Like, it's not going to balance, man. It's just about touching each and every one of those things daily and making sure they're all working congruently together, because harmoniously, they will start vibrating and then everything gets better. So for me, my fitness is how I feel. My mindset is something I got to touch on daily. So when people were freaking out with COVID, I absolutely knew what I needed to do. I needed to keep my mindset right because I had the books. I don't care if they shut down the world. I've got my books. I've got my podcast. Guess what? My fitness, they closed the gym. Guess what? I put on a 40-pound vest and I took my ass out and ran in the street and did push-ups and sit-ups like a Navy SEAL. Guess what else I did? I kept working. They said that we were not essential, so everyone else didn't want to knock doors. And they said, oh, well, COVID, well, guess what? Everyone's home. So with everyone home, I went and knocked doors because more people were home. So it was mindset though. But for me, it was not making excuses. I know a lot of people right now are hurting, and I'm not trying to be, take away from anyone. That's not it. But the biggest thing this year is reason some people got better is their mindset was right. They were shutting down businesses. They were shutting down restaurants. They were shutting down bars. Well, guess what? Bars became restaurants, right? There was workarounds. And I think a lot of people took their foot off the gas this year because they had an excuse. And unfortunately, suicides are up. Divorce is up. Businesses are closing. But I don't think all of that had to be as bad as it was, because I think a lot of people took an excuse to let up. Right. And I'm not speaking on the people that are having a hard time right now, but I think a lot of it, man, is you got to depend on yourself. You've got to make some of the moves your own self. So, yeah.
Man, that was so good, man. Like, that was such a great
I appreciate it. I think I go on these rants and then people are like,
no, man, I mean, at this point, man, I don't care if nobody's paying attention right now. You're preaching to me, man, and I'm learning right now. And you're like feeding my mind and my soul with great stuff that is helping me, because, that's pretty much some of the things. It's interesting how you are in the same frequency with the people around you in your network. Like, we're both in Apex.
Yeah,
so
we run the same cruise,
and it is incredible to see how everything is on the same frequency, man, because I've been working a lot in my mindset. Like, I start working twice a day for the past 3 months. I've been doing CrossFit. I've been doing Krav Maga. I've been trying to read more, and I've been trying to really take care of that, because, and I really want to improve my life. But one of the things I believe too that helps you, like, in all those 6 areas, besides your mindset, I think it is that group of people, man. That group of people that like right now, like,
that's
when
your
you
network,
notice,
that's your family. Yeah,
exactly.
You me. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it is powerful, man. You don't see it right away, and people don't understand that, because people wants to see things right away, but that's not how things work, Like, right now, it's kind of like a revelation of how much I have improved my life in 2020, because I'm surrounded like people like you, like other people's in Apex, and I'm grateful to see that we are vibrating at the same frequency of just improving ourselves and trying to become better every single day, man.
And the thing is I think a lot of people that may listen to this, they may feel intimidated or whatever it may be. It's not about trying to be Superman and like run through a wall and go crazy. Yeah. I'm not trying to like say you need to go David Goggins with it. But the thing is you need to seek the relationships. You need to seek people out. The reason I'm even talking to you right now is I sent a DM to Ryan a couple years ago, because when I moved to Dallas, I didn't have anyone. I didn't know anybody. Right? I just knew I needed to get plugged in. So you start seeing people like, man, he's kind of like me. Like, minus the I don't have tattoos all over me, but like a lot of the similarities, growing up, I'm like, I think I can resonate with this dude. And I feel like it's someone I need to meet. I didn't know where that was going to go. I didn't know anything about Apex. I just thought that I'm in Dallas. I know 2 people. I need to meet more people, period. Right. So next thing you know, flash forward 3 years, here I am. I'm talking to you on your podcast. You know what I'm saying? So like, nothing is by accident, man. Like, I think you need to take the initiative to put yourself into different rooms and swing the bat and take the chances. But the thing is you can't go in like, I think too many people right now, they're trying to be so calculated. They need to know exactly what they play. They like plan to plan. I think I thought like, that's someone I need to know. I'm going to send a DM and see what happens. That's how it was. But I think a lot of times people just don't do it, or they don't try to reach out, or they think that it's not good enough, or they think that whatever it is, man, the stories that we tell ourselves, man, we got to get out of our own head. And sometimes you may not have a plan. You just need to move forward. Did I tell you I had a plan when I went door to door? I did not. If someone would have told me in this market with roofing is the most despised industry. We're literally cockroaches out there. There's 2,500 contractors and we go door to door. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, totally.
If someone would have told me that, I would have got my own head and I would have done terrible. But for me, I didn't know any better. So I just went out and hit it because I just knew what I needed to do. And a lot of times it's just, sometimes you just need to make action. You need to just move forward. It doesn't matter what it is. You just can't sit around and think about it all the time. Sometimes you just got to like make it happen. And then next thing you know, things will just start kind of falling into place if you're making the right moves. So I think that's just the thing is you got to have the mindset and you got to have the confidence to know that you're going the right direction. You may not necessarily know what the end goal is. You need to move. You can't be stuck.
Totally,
I think a lot of people are stuck right now with COVID. They don't know what to do. But the thing is, sitting around and pissing and moaning about it don't work either. You know?
Yeah. And I think that's what some of the things that helped me to get through this year, you know, because the same thing for me, man, 7 years ago, I didn't know I was moving to a completely different country. You know, I have no fucking clue what I was doing. I didn't have any plan. I only have $500 in my pocket that I almost blew up.
That's where you wanted to be, and you're going to make it happen.
Yeah. Like, man, $500 in my pocket. And the first night I almost blew them all in a fucking strip club in Virginia Beach. Like, that's how stupid I was. But, you know, I didn't have any planning. Now I'm here, you know, I'm here interviewing people that are highly successful. So it is amazing. You know, it is amazing to see what happens when you do the work and you just take the action, even when you don't have a plan. So that's
because
amazing.
I think people plan to plan, and they like, we call it time, like, you know, people like mental masturbate, right? Like they just like, I got a guy that works with us. He's always like, man, like, what are you doing? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, he's like the most analytical dude, but he can't pull the trigger on anything, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, dude, just go. Like, who cares about the ROI, man? Just like, go.
Yeah.
It's driving crazy.
You know, I think it's also important to find out exactly what pushes you, you know, because, man, I didn't realize, for me, for example, what pushes me to become better is when I put myself under pressure. So I've been sore for 3 fucking months, you know, and sometimes it's weird because, you know, like the other day we did like 100 last week, like on cross, we did like 100 sit-ups. And when I went to my class at night at Krav Maga, like the whole warm-up was sit-ups. So I was like, holy shit, you know, like I was super sore. I was in pain, but that pain, man, for some reason just helped me stay focused. Like, since I started putting myself through so much pressure physically, I've been more focused than ever before.
The thing is, with that, you wouldn't have done it on your own. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I think that's the biggest thing is I think a lot of times, like, your body, like the way your mind protects the body, like, oh, that hurts, I probably shouldn't do that. So if you're super sore, if you would not have gone to the Krav Maga class that night, guess what? You probably wouldn't have probably wouldn't have done more sit-ups, because the thing is, like, your mind will tell you to stop. But like, a lot of times we never really push ourselves hard enough to get some of those breakthroughs. Yeah. And man, like you're one of the coolest people I know, because, like, you know, not too many people can say what, you know, they've done what you've done. You know, like, you're interviewing me, man. Like, I need to pick your brain next time. So next time we do this, I'm gonna try to, you know, go through and get some pointers from your head, because, you know, I just think a lot of times we never truly test ourselves, and we never really know what we're able to do. And when you go through those tough challenges in life, you really find out, you know, what you're made of. And I think a lot of times, like, man, you know, you perform when your back's up against the wall. So you're probably going to, like, indirectly put yourself in places to, like, more that you can chew, because you're a weirdo like me. And that's when you come alive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's
totally,
weird,
man.
It's true. So.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. This has been a great interview, man. I didn't realize we have so much in common, man. which is awesome, man. But hey, bro, thanks for coming to the show, man. This has been a great interview. Like, I'm sure my audience is gonna appreciate everything that you have shared, and I think it's a great information share, especially right now that everybody have that mindset of that transitioning from to a new year, you know, and like I posted the other day, nobody wants to make any plans yet, because nobody know what's happening.
You gotta make the plans, because I think a lot of times by not making a plan, then you're already behind. Yeah. So scrap that mindset, man. Like, you know, set that goal high, because when everyone else is putting their foot on the brake, this is the best time right now where you can compound your gains, because everyone else is sleeping. So I feel like this is where you actually, like, compound getting better over your competition, because everyone else is making excuses. So.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at right now, man. Like, I already have all my goals, and I've been breaking it even more. Like, I just read them every single day and try to break. It's like, okay, what am I missing in this goal? Because I just want to be laser focused and break them down to know what I need to do daily to get there, you know, and putting some systems and process in place for whatever we're doing. So it's been a very great time, man.
Cool. But God bless you, man.
Yeah. Well, thanks, man. Anyway, so where people can find you, man? I'm sure. Tell us when your book is coming. The pre-release, so if maybe people wants to buy your book, and people
Yes, I wrote the book. It's called Align Your Empire. You can go to burtonhughesofficial.com. We can get you on the list, for the pre-sale. And then if you're on Instagram, it's Burton_Hughes_official, or just type in Burton Hughes, it'll find me.
Right.
Those are all really good ways there. And if you got any questions, you can DM me. I'm pretty active on there. And then obviously on Facebook, same thing, just facebook.com. And then just search Burton Hughes. You'll find me. But reach out to me. Like I said, I know we're all busy, but I got time. If you got questions or anything I can do to help, man, if I can point you in the right direction, look, reach out to me. I'll help you, whatever I can do. I wanted to put this book together this year because I think there's some information that I have that may resonate with you,
Absolutely.
So I can't say it's anything revolutionary, but maybe the way I put it together will maybe help some people to open up and become the best version of themselves for sure. So.
Awesome, man. And just before we go, man, I always ask this question to all my guests. What will be one last piece of advice you can give us before we finish the episode?
Don't quit. Like I said in the very beginning, as I was relentless, you said it, is don't give up early. A lot of times people quit like right before that, like it gets great. You may took some L's this year, maybe been kicked down, you got your business closed, but guess any time where you can reinvent yourself and you'll come back stronger. Most people quit. If you just stay in longer, you'll outlast everyone else. It's not always the smartest or the best dude in the room. It's who lasted the longest. So the biggest thing I can tell you is when you think you can't, you can. Stay in the fight because everyone else around you has a weak mindset and they're going to quit. All you got to do is outlast the next person. That, I think, is the key to everything.
Awesome, man. That was so powerful. Thank you so much for sharing, man. And appreciate you taking the time for being here, man. Hope we can.
We got to do it again, man. We got to do it again. I feel like we got more to talk about for sure.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. Actually, you're going to start seeing me more in Apex because we're leveling up this year. So we go into the entrepreneurs and hopefully by the middle of the year to executives. So we are ready to level up our businesses too, man, and crush 2021. So thank you for being here, man, for all this great information. And for you guys listening, if you enjoy the show, make sure to share it with somebody, put it on social media, email, tag me, or whatever you can do to help us spread the word. And also make sure to leave us a review on iTunes or subscribe to the YouTube channel so more people can find the show and get access to all this information. I will see you guys for the next episode. In the meantime, be safe, keep working hard, and cheers. Merry Christmas, guys. Later, brother.
Thank you, man.
Hey guys, thank you for watching. This show was brought to you by the Marketing Brewing Company, an industry-leading marketing provider and coaching firm. If this episode have provided you with valuable information for you and your business, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you know somebody who needs to hear this, share it with them. Send me a text message, a DM, put it on social media, whatever you can do to spread the word. And lastly, if you're a brewery owner ready to take your business to the next level, make sure you head to marketingbrewingco.com and fill out the form to get started and get your free assessment of your current marketing and sales strategies. I will see you guys for the next episode. In the meantime, cheers.